Hi, and welcome everybody to task number 7, the analysis segment featuring Smallland1 and Limcube, and I'm joined by no one other than Smallland, the creator of Tasks Season 3, and we are going to take a look at the top runs and briefly talk about task number 7 in Cascade Kingdom. And as always, I'm going to start. Smallland, what was your inspiration for task number 7?
Well, we hadn't been to Cascade yet, and hadn't been to Cascade for a while, so wanted a Cascade task. I got here, and the other Cascade task that we have had in the past in a previous season, it involved the clouds and some moons, but really the only thing unique about the kingdom are the cloud platforms, so I figured I have the cloud platforms in this one, and I really like the idea of having some piece of movement that you have to do to make the route a little bit more interesting. Then, of course, the last thing that I could think of is there's a lot of NPCs that you can just bounce on, and they're pretty much spread out all throughout the kingdom. The one thing about this is, when I was doing this, I didn't even consider that Peach and Tiara were two different entities. In my head, for whatever reason, when I was doing the designing of this, when I was designing this task, in my head, I was like, okay, they are one entity put together. If you bounce on it, it only counts as one. But I didn't realize they are considered two different things by the game. And so you find that the fastest route is very, very fast in this one.
Yeah, Peach and Tiara both being very close to a checkpoint on the top there, and the cloud platform kind of being below them, so you just got to route in the vault at some point. I also am a huge fan of just setting movement, especially something like a vault. When initially looking at that, you could use like a normal cap vault, a dive vault, whatever you wanted to do. Then these cloud platforms actually usually have some unique mechanics to them as well. There's like this cloud boost that works when you like hit the cloud from a specific angle, you get like a boost. And that sadly wasn't required for the fastest route because Peach and Tiara kind of broke that task in two. But nonetheless, I think we still have some pretty cool and pretty close runs here at the very top again. So I guess we should look at the top 4 this week.
Absolutely insane. The top 4 tying first and third place to the frame. Crazy stuff.
So all we can really do here is basically look at 2 entities of runs, because even though they might be slightly different, if you look at the upper level screen and the lower level of the screen, it's actually almost like the same clip. We have like different outfits, but like the first placing runs and the third placing runs kind of do the same. And they all, as you said, start out with like a dive vault, but they actually don't use the roll boost. The roll boost would have probably given them too much speed. So they just use this as like a normal cap throw, dive into it, don't roll boost, just get the vault. And then quickly bounce on both entities there, on Tiara and Peach. And then all you gotta do from there is find a quick falling angle to fall down to 2 cloud platforms below. What is noteworthy is not only different languages, which obviously didn't matter at all here since there's no actual dialogue between Mario and the NPC, you just bounce on their heads, but also a notable difference. There's almost nothing, to be fair, in terms of notable differences. Very similar execution, which is kind of logical for like a 3-second task. I mean, it's worth to point out that we have only 2 sub-4 runs being the first place here. But at the end of the day, it's also the slight difference that I can pick out is probably that if we look at the ending section here of the comparison, you can see that Miles and Zen both are able to actually stand on top of the clouds, while Blackout and NFS are both like below or inside of the cloud form, kind of telling me that they probably threw Cappy a little bit late, quote unquote too late to make first place, and Miles Pro and Zen have just got the perfect timing figured out to be able to hit them while still falling a little bit quicker.
That's really only the difference that I can see here too as well. The runs are almost exactly the same the whole way through, so any differences are going to be so small that it's really the only thing that you can see that's different.
Yeah, and since we are actually talking about frames again, there might be tiny difference in terms of how they fell down. You almost want to go down, like just straight up down, but we see Miles definitely gets some type of vector speed off. I'm not sure, since there's the waterfall that's kind of blocking our view, but if you look at Miles' falling line, he's like kind of vectoring around after the last bounce. Maybe that gave him some extra speed, kind of made him get a better line. But once again, since there's not too much in this specific comparison to it, other than actually where do I hit the clouds and do I get the optimal bounce, and have I figured out the correct route? That's all you could probably really say about this one. Once again, I am a huge fan of technically routing in specific movement options, and vaults are probably one of the very best ones since they have such a unique use. But in this one, there was really only one place where you could do them. Like, there wasn't actually any other place where you could have done a vault in this route other than just at the start, which kind of fitted in there so well too. But other than that, I think for Task 7 there is not too much to say, especially looking at these top 4 runs. But I'm sure Task 8 is going to be completely different, not even close to what we've seen today. And I'm sure you prepared something special for the final task of Season 3 this week.
Oh yes, of course. The final task of Season 3 will be Anywhere You Want.